There is a word called disgruntled, and it does mean angry or dissatisfied. Not a word you often have to explain to people who work full-time for a living. They generally, at one point or another, will be disgruntled. So, comedians, of course, like to play along with language. That is a big thing we like to do. So could you be gruntled? You can. It is actually a word. It is, of course, the opposite of disgruntled. It means pleased or satisfied. And isn't that our ultimate objective? Now, I want to be a little bit careful here, because when a man approached Buddha and said, I want happiness, apparently the Buddha said, that is your problem. You cannot start with, I want. Okay, this is making it very much about ego. We're not really supposed to aim directly for happiness. It's a byproduct. But it is tough to argue that we all want to be happy. I'm a diehard capitalist. I make no apologies for that. I think capitalism has created more wealth and lifted more people out of poverty than any force on earth. But one massive, massive, massive downside of capitalism is that it feeds on the human desire for more. We were just talking about this, bigger and stronger and faster and taller, and it has become the American way. You can never be content. Advertisers, I worked in advertising. I worked at Procter & Gamble in marketing. I started on the engineering side and product supply and went over to marketing, to the dark side. And American society, American advertisers do not want you to be happy, because how will they sell you anything, right? That's the whole thing. Keeping up with the Joneses is a cliche for a reason, and we're always looking up at what other people have. And that's the thing with this country that's different from a lot of other countries. Living in Cincinnati, anyone here from Cincinnati? Clap. Anyone? Okay, some Cincinnati folks, hooday. Some of my, hopefully, Bengals fans in the house, 1 and 4, I don't know, but we'll see where we go with that. But the thing is, you could live in Mason, Ohio, which is a very, great suburb, very high-end place. You could drive down I-71, you could go to the GO, and you could shop at Kenwood Town Center. In every single city across America is like that. You'll have your equivalents of the great suburb, the rich people's freeway, where the trains don't go over the streets, they go over bridges. That's how you know it's a rich suburb, Poor suburbs, it goes over the street. Otherwise it goes, the rich people, they don't have time to wait for the train, right? So it has to go under or over. It goes over your street, you're in a poor neighborhood. So that's how we live near a train, by the way. So I could say that in Burbank, and it does go right over the street. So you can go this way and go throughout your entire day, your entire week, your entire year without seeing anyone poor. It's true. We're very isolated in this country. My parents would say that ever since I came from India. We're isolated. We're isolated. I didn't know what that meant, because in India, it is not like that at all. It is not like that because everybody is together. A lot of countries in Asia are like this as well. I always like to say countries in Asia are like if you take all 3 Back to the Future movies and you jam them into one TikTok. Because you were simultaneously in the future, in the past, and the Wild West all at the same time. All right, because you will see next year's model of electric Range Rover driving down a dirt road in Mumbai trying to avoid hitting stray cows. I'm not making that up. That is true. That is not an exaggeration for comedic effect. You will have to live with people who are different from you, and it's easy then to go, oh my gosh, my life is hard, but it's not that hard, right? There's a comparative factor that exists in Asia that I feel does not happen here in many suburbs, not all suburbs, but a lot of suburbs in America. The second tip, beyond the first one was be optimistic, the second one is be grateful. And I actually asked some friends out in Los Angeles for some tips on happiness, and my friend said to me, he said, and I'm going to read this, he goes, my wife and I offer a toast at dinner every night. Over the years, we learned to toast only what happened today, rather than what we hope will happen tomorrow. Doing so makes it a practice of gratitude instead of wish fulfillment. I almost teared up hearing that. That's a really beautiful way of thinking of it. I think you can be both. I think you can be ambitious and grateful. I mean, I kind of treat it like parentheses. In the morning I wake up and I meditate. In the middle I go out and I kick ass and I treat people like stepping stones. And at night I pray for forgiveness. But I think you can do both. It's a balance. It's a balance. But no, I'm obviously kidding. So another one is streamlining your decisions. I found so much of anxiety comes from decision making, or really the lack of decision making or indecision. One of the smartest people I know, Dan Barry, got a PhD in microbiology. He said this to me. He goes, just pick one. You have 2 decisions. If you're agonizing this much, they must both be good decisions. So just pick one and leave me alone. He's very introverted. So he was like, okay, just make a decision. Because there's a difference between making a good decision and making a decision good. Those are two different things. You can have that mindset again. Now, if it's between a good and a bad decision, it should be fairly easy to make. And I'm not saying you won't make the wrong decision, but generally, another way to look at it is, does one option eliminate the other? My best friend lives in Seattle. He's from Cincinnati, and he was trying to figure out, do I move back to Cincinnati or do I stay in Seattle? And he was really torn about this. And I go, well, if I eliminated one of those options, which one would hurt you more? If I said to you right now, you have to leave Seattle, or if I go, you were stuck in Seattle, which one scares you? He goes, oh my God, I would hate to have to leave here. I go, there's your decision. And he ended up staying. He goes, at the end of the day, that helped me make a decision. If you took it away from me, I felt like, oh, that's the one I really wanted after all. And sometimes there's this idea of, there's a song by The Clash, should I stay or should I go? Sometimes one option eliminates the other. He could keep staying, and he always has the option of going, but once he leaves, it's hard to go back. That's another way to think about decisions. And a strategy, of course, I'm a writer, so of course I'm going to tell you about writing. Sit down and journal about your decisions that you're going to make. And stop asking yourself why. Ask yourself what. When you ask yourself why, it's a judgment. Why am I feeling this way? You can get there eventually, but start with what. Because when you say, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? You're just putting a lot of pressure on yourself to come up with why. But if you just go, what am I feeling? What am I feeling right now? You just write it out, and you'll find that it lead you to the why. It's kind of like how I give people advice now. I don't say should anymore. I really try to avoid saying should. You know what you should do? Because you say should, it sounds judgmental. It sounds like a command, like I'm telling you, here's what you should do. You should do this. But if I say, here's what you could do, people's ears open up, like, oh my God, it's giving me options. I might be able to do this. It opens up some possibilities. Instead of should, say could, and treat yourself that way too. This is big, and I have to remember this one. This is hard for me too. Don't asterisk your accomplishments. You don't know the circumstances of others' accomplishments either. And I had to learn this because I'd be like, oh yeah, I opened for Dave Chappelle, or I opened for Joe Coy, or I opened for Russell Peters. But that's only because I met him here. It's only because I met this person there, or I ran into her here. Or then I would see all these other comedians doing something. I'm like, oh, well, I remember that because they just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Well, right, that's what you were. So you don't have to hold yourself to the standard of saying everyone else achieved something you didn't. You don't know the circumstances of their achievements. And there's a TED Talk given, never compare your insides to someone else's outsides. And this is very easy to do on LinkedIn, on Instagram, because you're going through everybody's feed and you're saying, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything. I had this man on my podcast, Isaac Saul. He now has a very successful political podcast. He's in the middle trying to find the balance between both sides. Good luck with that. And his podcast is really great. And he talked about that. He was in his office in Philadelphia, and he's going home to see his wife, and he's just excited about what he's doing. Then he gets on Instagram, and he's going through all of his friends who are in Hong Kong and Turks and Caicos, and looking at like sunny skies and the sunset. And he goes, oh my God, my life sucks. This office sucks. What am I doing here? Right? Because also you're comparing everyone else's, not only their outsides, but all of your friends are, of course, going to be doing more than you are at any given time. You're one person, so you're comparing the additive effect of what everyone else is doing. That's everyone's experience. And sometimes people are later gramming too. They didn't just do that yesterday. They're spacing it out over time. So it's really, really important not to do that.